They like to do this a little organically, so they're just going to start talking and you do that for them.
Hi. So you know who we are. So why don't we just start taking questions and comments and responses and reactions from the audience, and we'll just develop as we go.
And I'm a fast runner, so. You know, you all need a minute. I know.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to me. This is my third time seeing it, and I'm still like shaking a little bit. Yeah.
I'll say something.
Yes.
It's just a comment, not a question.
Good.
I just thought it was really amazing how you encapsulated how the prison system really has not a whole lot to do with rehabilitation and a lot to do with alienation and dehumanization. And I really appreciated being able to see that firsthand. Thanks.
Well, I'm going to hear from the audience.
Thank you.
And this evening, I could follow. This is one of our legislators.
Amazing work. Who do you think had a bigger effect on whom, if I phrased that correctly,
I honestly, it's hard to speak for the students, but I think it's pretty equal. I think maybe the students learned a little bit more about
Life.
right, like when Georgia says basically it's normal people, and I'm thinking, more, if that's normal, sign me up. But I also learned, so much, I learned, I had judgments and my own little, pre-held misconceptions about them before I met them that, I didn't even really know that I had, sort of, so it's kind of like we each kind of learned and grew together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Christy Bartlett, and I am in the legislature, but I'm also a member of the Women's Club of Concord. And we have a monthly program, or a couple of programs in the prison. One of the things that didn't come out in the movie was there's a difference between the county jails and the prison. And a lot of people don't realize that if their sentence is 12 months or less, they go to a county jail for particular kinds of infractions, crimes. But if they're more than 12 months, they go to a prison. And we've been very slow as a state to try to provide equal programs for the men and the women. It was only a few months ago that the women moved into the new women's prison. And I understand that the Goffstown prison is going to be demolished, thank God. But I think that one of the things that comes out for me when I go into the prison, I don't go into the jail, is that so many of the women are mothers. And Donna Raycraft and I have done a few programs about parenting behind the walls. And it's a very difficult, we do these monthly programs, and we come up with all kinds of subjects. This was one of them we did a couple of months in a row. And to come and hear the stories of what these women have, and that came out in the movie certainly, what they've gone through, but how very, very difficult it is to get their lives back without much support at all is part of it. It's criminal.
Yeah, I thanks for that comment, because I think it's really important. People always say, oh, good that you do that, because those people need rehabilitation, and I think we all need rehabilitation. And we're just not good at owning our own presence in society. And so we are always othering whoever is not looking like me, or I like or dislike. And also the idea of how to deal with adversity and discord, right? I mean, what is it if there is discord? What is my position with that? Am I gonna destroy that person, or am I going to see where we can talk and communicate? And if we can't communicate, how do I treat that person?
I'm curious about the process with the students, getting them to that point of realization of what privilege means. Like when, I mean, Spandar said she never thought of herself as privileged, and so just the different levels of privilege in society and how, and of course you focused on a couple of students, how you picked them and kind of what that process was.
I think you see it in the film, how much reading there is and how much discussion there is among the students and also among the women on the inside. And this bears on the question, who gains more, or what do these different groups gain? We spend a lot of time talking about ourselves. It's really hard to get the students to kind of think about each other, think about them as a group. They're so fixated on the other that they have trouble focusing on the differences within that group. Now, the irony of these programs is that our group at Dartmouth is more racially and culturally diverse than the population in the jail, right? And you can kind of see that, right? But they're not, they actually are, they somehow become homogenized because they're Dartmouth students, that identity covers them in some strange way. And so you have to really kind of deconstruct that, because we're not all the same. I mean, we're all equal, but there's a difference, we're not all the same. And that's the great, the great philosophical debate. How do we have equality and not actually homogenize us, but recognize all of our differences and then recognize our privileges? The hard thing about privilege for the Dartmouth students, and for me, is then not to feel guilty about it, because that paralyzes you, but actually to go and do something with the privilege, to put it to the service of the situation and feel like you can do something with it. And we work a lot on that, and that's something that you just have to keep working on, you know what I'm saying? And that's why it's not just a 1-week program, it's an 8-week program, which even that is not really enough to really start to do that kind of work of how do we recognize our judgments and our biases, and then what do we do when we recognize them?
That's the key.
Yeah, that's so, and it's so key. And you have to keep saying, we all make judgments. It's not like, because I'm teaching the course, that somehow I'm free of judgment. No, constantly making judgments, but you become aware of what you're doing and then what effect it has.
No, that's right.
Jane, I was wondering, I think the movie's about 9 years old, was it 2010?
2010.
Can you talk to some changes or improvements that you've seen over the years that are happening in the jails?
Sure. My background is I spent 30 years with the New Hampshire Department of Corrections, and 15 years of that I was warden that ran the facilities. And then I went to the county facility and was the program director for Sullivan County and this program. So when Patti knocked on my door, it was a time that, and I'm going to give kudos to Ross Cunningham, because Sullivan County wanted to build another jail, a new jail. And he said, we don't need another jail, what we need is programs, that's what we need. And that's what we need in corrections is programs. So when Patti knocked on my door, it was a time that we were actually shovel in the dirt, we were building a new building, formulating this new program, and she said, hey, what do you think about doing this? And I've always supported thinking outside the box, not doing normal things within the confines of the institution, because I think it really challenges people like Charlotte, who would probably never do this in 1,000 years. And I think you have to think outside the box. So Meanwhile, back at the ranch, as we were building the new building and formulating this new program, they said, oh, what do you think about filming a documentary too? And that's, I think, when Ross Cunningham had a heart attack, but we did it. And I've seen this film several times, and every single time it gets to me. It gives me the chills, and I get to sit here with this group of women. But more importantly, I get to sit here with Charlotte, and I see what her life is today versus when I first met Charlotte, and it warms my heart. And in Merrimack County, we had the TRAILS program, the substance abuse program in Sullivan County. In Merrimack County, we have the SOAR program. They just renovated, a little over a year ago, we opened up the SOAR program, very similar to the TRAILS program. And we're doing unique things there as well. I'm doing some work there. We have things like Hero Pups. I don't know if you've read it in the Concord Monitor. Hero Pups coming in and living with a group of inmates in the substance abuse program day and night, having to go potty after count is cleared and all of that. But you talk about a puppy and an inmate, and in building that relationship and building that trust. I think we've really branched out, and we've really come a long way in the 35 years I've been involved in corrections, and it's just needed. And I applaud all of you, because it's very easy to ride by a prison and a jail and think that's someone else's problem. Until it hits home personally, whether it's a family member or a friend, you really don't realize what happens behind the confines of those walls. And so I applaud all of you for being here and really and spending time watching this.
Yes, absolutely.
Just real quick, I want to add, I'm so thankful and grateful for the TRAILS program and all the work that Ross Cunningham and Jane have done. I think I struggle a little bit with, I still feel like addiction is like criminalized, and I wish we could find a way to make some of this programming available to people so they would, I didn't have insurance at the time, I didn't have the money, so I had to go to jail to get rehab. I had to get a criminal record. So, trying to navigate around that, I am so thankful, and grateful, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the TRAILS program. But it would be amazing to not have that felony attached.
I just want to say, my name's Pali Campion. I'm also a legislator. I happen to represent Hanover. So all of the pictures of Dartmouth College look very familiar. And I'd like to ask if any of you would like to run for office. One of the things I wanted to pursue a little bit, and Charlotte, you touched on this a little. And that is that these are wonderful things that are going on behind the walls of the jail. And one example, I think Malika was arrested again after she left jail. Are there transitional programs, resources, assistance that help moving from that to the real world? And if not, what can we do to help close that gap?
So I think touching on the county and the state, that's part of the real difference, I think, between like your state prison and your county jail. Not so much with your county jail, because it's a short sentence. I think they just assume, I don't know, but like your state prison, I think, has a much, they have halfway houses and transitional houses. I think the county jail at one point had a THU, which is a transitional housing, but for some reason. So again, I think it's like on the state level, it's working better than the county level. But
does anyone in the audience know if we have transitional housing for county jails?
We do in Merrimack County.
We do, in Merrimack County, yeah.
Those two probably
yeah. Ross Cunningham, of course, is the superintendent of Merrimack County, so we're doing a very similar program there as we did in Sullivan County. And I think one of the key components to when it's a long program, and when you're in classes every day and it's a structured environment and you have someone there 24/7, it works well. the whole piece of getting out and getting back into the real world is really scary. So having, in these programs, there's a 1-year aftercare piece where the individuals have to attend aftercare. Substance abuse screening is being done as well. And if there's problems, we can deal with it at the time versus we don't see them for 3 months or 6 months. And working hand in hand with a probation parole officer is also key. We have meetings with them, we talk to them, we pick up the phone and have those conversations. And I think that's really key to have that support system in play rather than good luck to you, have a good life, and we'll see you later. That's key.
Absolutely. I was part of that aftercare program. Yeah, I was part of the aftercare program and definitely was a big part of my thriving in the, yeah.
Apparently, I can't remember the acronym, but Burlington has been experimenting with a volunteer program which was described in another documentary by a fellow filmmaker called Coming Home. Do you remember who the, Betsy? Or Liz? I can't remember the name of the word. It's called Coming Home. It's COSA. That's the name of it.
COSA is the name of the program.
The program COSA, where people volunteer to be friends of people who have come out of jail or prison. And basically, 2 people are assigned to one person who's coming out, and basically you just meet them once a week. And it's not, there's no agenda. You're not supposed to do anything. You're supposed to meet them and say, how's it going? You know, do you need some help writing a resume? You know, are you looking for a job? You know, that kind of stuff. And apparently this program, you know, has a, I don't know what the percentage is of success, but it's having some success. So part of what we could do as citizens is to step up, create those kind of programs where we reach out to people and make community. Because as Patty's always saying to us, that's the issue is we're so siloed, we're so separate these days, we're so tribal, we're so afraid of each other. And really what we need to do is just come to realize the commonalities we have. We have many differences, but we also have some very strong basic human commonalities. And so how do we speak to that? And maybe it just comes down to setting up volunteer organizations like COSA and you know, spending an hour a week doing that.
My question might follow up nicely on that, actually. It seemed to be implied in the film that the fact that these 2 groups were coming together around an artistic process was important, that there was something maybe more magical, or the process itself facilitated real relationship building, and I would love to hear more about the role of that artistic process of bringing these groups together.
So to me, the arts here are put to the service of the situation. I think the arts are very liberating, and they give you a lot of possibilities. And theater in general it's really an ensemble work, right? Even if you're a solo performer, you're going to have somebody outside looking at your work in order to check it out. Is it working or not? So it's not like a visual artist that you can just go into your canvas and get there, right? In your own world. So that's really good, because it challenges the idea of being so individualist.